because what you, the unsung heroes in the wastewater industry, do matters. Every Wednesday, join me, Suzanne Chin Taylor, the DooDoo Diva, a longtime veteran of the wastewater, trenchless, and civil infrastructure industry, as I interview guests who are making an impact on how we manage and operate systems for conveying and treating wastewater. I'll also be speaking with representatives of organizations that are utilizing disruptive or new technologies, and executives who are going to share how to be successful and sustainable in our vital industry. So whether you want to learn about the latest trends in technology in treatment or trenchless, gain tips on training and retaining great talent, or simply how to be more efficient, productive, or profitable, this podcast is for you. Well, hi again, and welcome to this week's episode of the DooDoo Divas Smells Like Money podcast. We are continuing our dialogue with Kerry Siggins, the CEO of StoneAge Tools, those folks that are known for amazing high-pressure water blasting tools and the Warthog sewer cleaning nozzles. So, Kerry, when we finished up our conversation the last time about sewer technology and what was going to be coming down the pike, and we kind of left it off about digital transformation, which is a perfect segue into what I really wanted to talk to you about for this episode, because StoneAge has done an absolutely amazing job of being an early adopter and really jumping on board with the way that marketing is having to shift for our industry. You got early on in having a very strong website presence and really getting very active in social media channels. And oh, yes, I can hear the groans in the background right now. But unfortunately, we all as marketers saw this shift to content and digital marketing coming about 5 years ago. We saw a timeline that it was maybe going to be 5 to 7 years from then. But then with the onset of COVID, it put that on a very rapid trajectory that none of us were prepared for. Now, StoneAge, we could learn a lot from them because Kerry and her team really saw that, okay, we're not going to go back to the way things were. We are now in a new normal. And so they jumped on board and fast-tracked probably what you were thinking about for your digital and content strategy so that you would be ahead of the curve. And so what I really want to discuss is what they've done, and maybe for Kerry to share some tips and some tricks for those of you who are in the industry that are thinking to yourself, yeah, I've been putting this off. I know I need to do it, but I don't know where to start. This is a scary thing. I'm not used to doing this. I have to do digital selling now, where before it was a lot of face-to-face, and just the way that you have to approach things is so different. I don't know where to begin. Where should I start? And what's the best way to get started? And so I wanted her to share, her tips and tricks, and maybe, not that you want to give your intellectual property away, your industry secrets to your competition, but just some good food for thought on how we should be using digital marketing and using it as a tool to really tell our stories. Because now marketing is all about education, so that people are going to be compelled to do business with you. And so with that said, tell us about how you're using this right now as a storytelling medium. And you shared with me about making your customers look like heroes.
Sure. So it's a lot. It's a lot of work, and everything that you just said, that kind of overwhelming and the groaning. StoneAge has been on the digital content creation journey for quite some time, and I think have honed it. And I think that's my best advice, is like, you just have to start. You're not just going to magically be perfect all of a sudden. But the key is, and we've learned this the hard way, because we always want to talk about ourselves, right? We want to sell what we do. Here's how we can, solve all your problems. Here's why this tool is the right tool. Here's the features and the benefits. And quite honestly, all that is important, but it's not what compels people. It's the story behind the tool, right? That's what gets people to want to do business with you, to engage in that next level, to say, okay, I want to be educated by this person and I want to buy this product. So I just think that when you're thinking about building out your digital strategy, and it's not just your digital strategy, it is your marketing strategy, which is both digital and in person. You need to think about it through the lens of storytelling and not making yourself the hero of the story, right? You didn't come in and save the day. No, your customer came in and saved the day, and you were the guide. You were the person who gave them the tool that they need, that gave this little piece of advice that helped them see it differently so that they could go on to win. And so when I talk about, make your heroes the customer of the story, that's what you want to do. You want it to be very customer centric, and you want to make that person look as good as possible to their customer, to understand their intrinsic and their extrinsic motivations, so that you can really tap into that power of storytelling. In my opinion, storytelling is everything. It's what makes great companies. So what makes great leaders is that ability to really tell a story that compels people to want to follow you, want to do business with you.
Excellent. So, when you were saying that, it's all about creating the trust. Mm-hmm. And so when you started out knowing that, okay, especially when COVID hit and we were locked down, how do I use this medium? How have you used this medium effectively when we didn't have that opportunity to meet face to face with people, to stay engaged, to keep in communication and find new customers when we couldn't go and take our dog and pony show on the road or do a nice showcase at a trade show? Mm-hmm. What did you do when you had to shift gears, and how has it helped you?
Yeah. So we said we're figuring out how to do virtual demos, product demonstrations, and virtual sales calls. You can do it literally with your camera right here, or you can do something that's much more extravagant, right? So we did let's build out a virtual studio. So we had a little room, we got 2 cameras and a Zoom whiteboard, which is amazing because you can write on the whiteboard and have the camera facing you. And then, as part of Zoom, you have this other screen right there. And we started teaching people how to use our products virtually. And so we've dialed it in, and I will tell you, it has helped us get so many new customers. So I'll give you an example. We started doing these virtual product demonstrations, and we have a big client in India, and really hard to do demonstrations over there. We've got an employee who's there, but he doesn't have access to all the resources that we have at StoneAge. So this contractor went and he got 200 of his end user personnel to come on and go through understanding how, a particular StoneAge product works. And they were totally converted. And we did that all virtually. And I don't think that we would have never had that kind of engagement if we even doing it in person, right? It was like, oh, great. Yep. No problem. I can come for an hour demonstration right here. I can sit at my computer. I can have this, engaging conversation with my peers and with the company, with StoneAge. And then I can go and I understand. It's like, oh, I don't have to have all the pumps set up and all of these things that require a demonstration. So, that isn't easy for everybody to do, but you can still figure out, like, how do I still build meaningful connections? How do I still help my customers understand their problems and how we might be able to help them with it virtually? And I think that pivot alone in 2020, when everything was horrible, resulted in probably $2 more million in sales for us, because we pivoted that quickly and created a digital platform for people to still engage with us and learn about our products.
And so in addition to demos, are you now also using that to create training or other types of content that can help people after, for the after sales process?
Yep. Yeah. So we can take what we've learned from all of this is the kinds of questions people ask, and we can weave it into, the future product demonstrations or virtual sales calls. We have a big client who just said, hey, I want to do this, and they're bringing in 30 or 40 people. So we've woven that into our messaging and our storytelling, where we're still delivering it live, but it also feeds our training programs. So we have now invested in a learning management system that allows us to build out the content of everything that we've learned and over our 43 years in history, but especially doing it virtually, to build out a comprehensive training program that has a digital component to it, and then has a hands-on component that either our dealers or we go out and directly train people how to do. So it's all about building out something that's engaging, that people want to keep coming back for. And I think COVID really helped us learn how to do it effectively, because we were all like sitting in front of Zoom, all right, let's figure it out, and people were really willing to experiment with us as we dial it in.
Excellent. Wow. It's just amazing how, we all look at COVID in some ways as being, oh, it was horrible. And yes, it has been, and lives have been lost, but it's done some things for business. I can't remember who said it. It may have been Kennedy, that in every crisis, there's a kanji character that in crisis, where half of it means danger and the other half means opportunity. And so if you looked at it that way, there were certain things that as a result for business people, where we had to reinvent ourselves, is that business can't stop because the world is shutting down. We have to find another way to keep things going and to keep communicating with people. So for you took what was, okay, it stopped. We're all sitting in front of Zoom. How do we make this work for us? And you did an excellent job of that. And so what I wanted to ask is, how long did that process take you to figure out how you were going to use this new paradigm that we were in, and get prepared to kind of turn it around from, okay, this is inconvenient, and now I've got something that, yeah, it was solving a problem, but now it's become a tool that I didn't even expect that it was going to be for my business.
Yeah. So I would say that we probably pivoted in the first 4 or 5 months of COVID.
Okay.
First of all, it was like, okay, what's going to happen? We didn't know, is it going to be by Easter that we're back up, or is it by Memorial Day? It was clear after Memorial Day, like, okay, this is going to last for a long time. And that's where we started figuring out the virtual studio. And it took us a couple months to get it all put together and dialed. Overall, I feel pretty pleased with how fast we got up and running. And then of course there was trial and error as we figured it out. I think we knew pretty much right after, the first initial demonstrations that we were onto something, and that we were going to be able to utilize it even when we could start getting in front of customers, because it's so effective, right? You can just, all right, great. Yeah, no problem. You want to do a virtual demo? Let's schedule it for 2 days from now, versus, trying to like mobilize and get in front of somebody and prolong that sales cycle. So yeah, I would say that right away we knew that we were onto something, and then it was, okay, we're going to invest in it to keep making it better and more professional, so that it would solve the problems that our customers were having, and make it a good experience, a fun experience to have with us.
So as far as content, so now, in addition to this, how else are you using, content marketing, social media marketing, to really tell that story and engage, beyond the demonstrations, to just create the buzz, create the interest, and the brand, brand building?
Oh, it's everything that we do. It's such an important part of our strategy. And I feel like we develop really great content. We have a fantastic marketing team who understands the power of storytelling, how to create visually pleasing content that makes the customer the hero, just like what we talked about. So it's in our social media. We're getting ready to launch new websites, so that will be much more improved. It's in our email campaigns and our newsletters. And our social media is, I think, really powerful around using content marketing. And we use analytics. We use a program called Pardot that really works on the back end of Salesforce so that we can track everything that we're doing. So we're becoming more and more sophisticated. And that might sound overwhelming. You don't have to start with that, right? We've had years of building digital content and just building content, period, and years of doing this digitally. But the more you learn, the more you measure, then the more you can start to really dial in your marketing to say customers like this. And so, content marketing.
Giving them what they want, not necessarily what you think they want or what you want to produce. That makes a lot of sense. And, a lot of companies don't have that, ability or big department in-house. But I think if they have their message clear, they have to start somewhere, even if it's not on a small scale, to do it. And, I'm sure you'll agree with me here, is that consistency is the key. Yes. If you don't have the time to do something every day, but let's say if you just do something twice a week and commit to it and always do it, it's kind of like the tortoise and the hare, slow and steady wins the race.
Yes.
Is that, I see a lot of companies that get so excited about this, and then they start and they're really like, yeah. And they do a whole bunch for about 2 or 3 months. And then they realize how much time is involved. And then instead of scaling back and coming up with a schedule that is actually manageable, they just stop altogether and they give up, or they expect results instantly. And so that was something I wanted to ask you, because you've invested a lot of time and a lot of effort into this. How long would you say it took for you to start really seeing tangible, quantitative results from your efforts on digital marketing, content marketing, making this shift?
Yeah. Oh, gosh. It's hard to say. I mean, 6 months, a year, as we were A/B testing and really figuring it out and dialing it in. I mean, we still don't have it all figured out. It's always trying to figure out. Yep. It's always growing and always trying to figure out the algorithms and SEO. And so I don't think that you ever figure it out. I think you just are constantly learning and getting better. But I do agree. So I think consistency is the most underrated leadership skill that's out there. Nobody has made an overnight success ever. It always takes the consistent work that you're doing. And it's the same exact thing with marketing. Just start. I agree. 2 posts a day, get a brand guide, build out a brand guide. These are the colors. These are the fonts. There's so many tools out there that are so easy to use that you can be pretty consistent with it. And then see, okay, what kind of engagement did I get? There's tools out there that help you measure it. And then when you see if someone really engages with this type of content, okay, let's create some more of that. So you have to just be consistent and be continuously iterating. And if you don't have time to do that, if that sounds overwhelming to you, there's so many companies out there who can help you do this and who can, create a social media calendar and a marketing content calendar for you that allows you to build that kind of consistency that you need. And it doesn't have to be completely overwhelming or outrageously expensive. But you have to start. You can't just ignore digital content marketing. You have to do it. It's the future.
And the future is now. And thank you. Music to my ears. When you were saying about the editorial calendar and the social media, that is the thing that will save your sanity as you begin this. It's the thing that kind of keeps you on track and helps you stay accountable. Or if you're working or delegating tasks to a member of your team, or even an outsource firm, we do this for people on a turnkey, is that keeping it accountable so that when you were saying that consistency, to make sure it gets done.
Yep, exactly.
No matter what, it gets done. It gets done.
Yep.
So Kerry, when we spoke a couple months ago about having you on the podcast, you said something to me that really struck a nerve. And it was, even though we're doing digital marketing, at the end of the day, it's kind of impersonal, it's cold, it's technology. We are still selling to people. And you alluded to the fact, and I'd like you to share a little bit on this, about how you create that personalized user experience in digital marketing for your customers, so you feel, or they feel, that StoneAge gets me. They're talking to me. They know my heart. They know my pain points. They're talking my language.
Yes. So it all comes down to storytelling, like what we talked to before, really understanding who your customers are. So we build personas, and we say, here's what an operator, here's the pain points that he has, not just externally, like I have this pipe that I have to clean, but internally too. Like, this is hard work and I don't get paid enough to do this dangerous work. And, I want to look good because I want to get a raise. And the pressure of what the customer is expecting, which is usually heroic. So if you can paint the picture of what your customer pain points are internally and externally, and then create that story to be able to say, like, hey, we get you. We understand that this is a challenge for you. And this is how you feel. And you deserve to feel really great when you go home. You deserve to be safe when you go home. People will be like, yeah, that's me. And so that's where this whole storytelling component really comes in. And it's so important in digital marketing. Do you speak to the pain points, and do you make them see something different? So a story is really quite simple. And a lot of people get overwhelmed with, like, how do I tell this story? There are three things that you need to think about in your storytelling as you're making a customer hero. This is what normal looks like, which might be pretty awful. And then boom, something happens, right? Something transformational happens. My service comes in, my product comes in. And now here's what the new normal looks like. And isn't it amazing? And so if you construct your marketing stories in that way, right? Here's what normal is, and it's not very good. Here's this transformational thing that happens, which is usually like me coming in to be able to help you. And now you win and you're the hero of the story. That's how you can really get people to feel like, yeah, that company gets me. I want to do business with them.
I love it. Well, Kerry, thank you for that. And we only have a few minutes left. And so one thing that I did want to touch on is that the power of digital marketing and content marketing and social media for businesses, especially in our industry, goes well beyond just using it for lead generation or sales or customer engagement. Is that businesses can really tap into the power of this for finding strategic alliances, partners, chances for collaboration, even finding their next great hire. And so maybe if you could share with us just briefly, what's been your experience in using these platforms for those things for building your business?
So yes, your story is everything. It's not just your value story to your customers. It's your purpose. It's your founder story. It's your personal story. It's what makes people want to do business with you or work for you. And so you can weave that into everything that you do. And your marketing people are analyzing and judging you by it, right? Saying, okay, is this a person that I want to do business with? Is this company a great culture that I want to work for? And so we use we look at our marketing through the lens of, how is anybody who interacts with us, whether it's a potential employee, whether it's our own employee, whether it's a supplier of ours, or whether it's a customer of ours, how do they experience us? What do we want them to feel? And so we weave all of that in, and we absolutely attract talent for it. In fact, I had a customer or an employee tell me a story about taking her daughter to go visit colleges, and they were out on the East Coast, a StoneAge mask, and it just had the little StoneAge name and logo. And a gentleman said, is that StoneAge, like the Water Blast tool company in Durango, Colorado, Kerry Siggins is the CEO of? And she said, yes, it is. And he's like, oh, I love that company. It is so amazing. You know, the employee ownership piece and the technology that you're doing and the thought leadership that you're putting out there in the industry. And so she asked him, like, how do you even know about this company? It's in Durango, Colorado. And he said, I am a former executive at General Motors. And I saw something come across LinkedIn, some piece of marketing that you all did. And I was like, oh, that's a really interesting company. And so I started following you. And I just think that you're amazing. Like, you're doing all kinds of great things. I think you're one of the best companies out there. And that's the power of what marketing can do. He saw a post that StoneAge put on LinkedIn, and he started following us as a company. He started following me as a leader, and he could tell her like all the things that she knows about the company. She's like, how cool is that? And that all comes through our digital marketing. So that's the power of it. Now, that doesn't happen overnight, right? This has been years of being consistent and trying different things and putting ourselves out there and failing a little bit, going, oh, that didn't land. This marketing launch was awful. Let's try something different. So you've really got to experiment, and you've got to be consistent and stick with it. And just know that over time, you could have somebody saying that about your company, which is a huge honor.
Oh, thank you for sharing that story. That was great. Because, I hear things like that, not that often, but yes, the power of digital media, and it's got evergreen shelf life.
Yes.
I remember I wrote a post 9 years ago for a former client, and it's on their blog. And that post, because of what was in it, is still getting hits and bringing them up on the first page of Google when people search under that technical term. That still comes up on page one, not from 9 years ago. So good content has amazing shelf life. And so with that, again, thank you. You shared so much wisdom, and I hope people got a lot out of this, and maybe we'll start thinking about, I need to start thinking about this, or maybe I started on it, but I'm not doing as good a job as I could be doing, and, taking a play out of StoneAge's books. And so thank you again for sharing that. And for those of you interested in maybe learning about what that gentleman from General Motors found out about, is connect with Kerry on LinkedIn and on Facebook. And their website is, again, StoneAgeTools.com. And what was it?
SewerNozzles.com.
SewerNozzles.com. And so, Kerry, thank you again for being on the show. And I look forward to continuing the dialogue. And our next episode with Kerry is going to be talking about training, and how training is everything. And with that, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep it flowing. Thanks for joining me, the DooDoo Diva, on this week's episode of Smells Like Money. Be sure to subscribe to the show so you'll never miss an episode. And while you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or simply tell a friend about the show, because that would help us out a lot too. If you're an industry expert and would like to be considered as a guest for the show, email guest@smellslikemoneymedia.com. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the topics you'd like to talk about, and we'll be in touch. For more information about our family of marketing, international business development, and workforce training companies dedicated to the empowerment and education of our industry, call us at 760-217-8010. or email me at raven@creativeraven.com. Until next week, a big shout out to all my industry friends and those who will be. You're my superheroes.